On Christmas Eve, my fiancée handed my son a chore list in front of 22 guests. And my parents? She smirked. You eat here for free, so start earning it. Her daughter sneered. That's exactly what you deserve. That night, we packed one bag and disappeared. But what I did the next day changed everything. She slid the paper across the table like she was serving a legal notice. Christmas Eve. 22 people in the room. My parents at the far end. Candles. The lamb I'd spent 3 days cooking. And my son Owen, 9 years old, in a little button-down shirt he'd picked himself because he wanted to look nice, picked up the paper, read it, and looked at me. Not at Miranda. At me. You eat here for free, Miranda said, with the smile I'd spent 14 months telling myself was confidence. So, start earning it. Her daughter Madison, 16, already a copy of her mother, looked at Owen and said, That's exactly what you deserve. Owen folded the paper in half, set it on his lap, and looked at me with a face I'll spend a long time trying to describe accurately. It wasn't hurt. It was something quieter and more final. The face of someone who has been watching the truth arrive from a long way off and has decided to stop pretending they don't see it. He's 9. He shouldn't have that face. I need to tell you what was on that list, because this isn't about one bad night. This is about 14 months. About a dog named Philippe. And about what my son understood long before I did. Let me go back to the beginning. My name is Matthias, 37. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm a journalist. Investigative features, local government, 11 years in, single dad since Owen was 3. His mom is in Portland now. We co-parent the way divorced people do when they genuinely still respect each other. It works, but it costs something every time. Owen is everything, specifically. He makes me pancakes on Sundays when he can tell the week was hard, without announcing it. Just puts the plate down. He reads my case files and gives feedback sharper than my editors sometimes. He argues like a tiny lawyer. It's been just the two of us for most of his life, and we built something real in that space. So when I met Miranda Carmichael at a work event, she was PR, I was press, technically adversaries, which was probably part of the appeal. I told myself on the very first date, Owen is the whole equation. He likes her, we move forward. He doesn't. We stop. Only variable that matters. I should have listened to myself more carefully. Miranda was 41, polished in the way certain women become polished after a hard divorce. Something burns away, and what's left is all surface and strategy. She had a daughter, Madison, 14 when we met, a condo in the nicer part of Raleigh, a career she was excellent at, and Philippe, 4th date, her condo. She opened the door, holding, cradled in her left arm, with years of practiced ease, a chihuahua, maybe 2 kilograms, enormous eyes pointing in slightly different directions, giving him the permanent expression of someone who has recently received mildly disappointing news about the universe. He was wearing a tiny burgundy velvet blazer with what appeared to be functional pockets. This, Miranda said, in the tone reserved for Renaissance paintings or very old wine, is Philippe. He's wearing a blazer, I said. He always dresses for dinner, she said, since he was a puppy. And I, 11 years of professional skepticism, said that's adorable, and completely meant it. Because in isolation, a small dog in a small blazer genuinely is adorable. I wasn't wrong about that. I was just missing all the context. I want to be clear. I love animals. I had a golden retriever named Captain for 12 years and cried at his death in a way not proportionate to what adults are supposed to do in public. Zero shame about that. I believe pets are real family members with real emotional lives. But what I walked into in Miranda's condo was not pet ownership. It was a constitutional monarchy, with a schedule of state functions, a wardrobe department, a grooming minister, and a hierarchy in which every human present ranked below the crown. I was a visiting dignitary who had not yet been briefed on the court structure. We dated 5 months. By then, I knew Madison, 14 going on 43. With her mother's talent for making you feel insufficient without saying anything directly impolite. She decided Owen was a disappointment. Not dramatically, just consistently, in the small daily ways that accumulate. Owen tried anyway, made her a playlist once. She said, "Some of these are kind of old," and went back to her phone. He didn't make another playlist. We got engaged in April. Saturday morning, back porch, coffee, no speech, just a ring and a question, and she said yes. I was genuinely happy. I thought I'd found something real. I moved into her condo in June because it was larger. Rented out my house, packed Owen's room carefully. By Wednesday, I understood I'd miscalculated. Philippe, also known as Pip, baby boy, golden boy, my precious son, and most officially, child number 1, ran this household. Not metaphorically, literally. His schedule was printed, laminated, and mounted on the refrigerator in a plastic sleeve next to our family calendar. His was bigger. He had a groomer, 47 minutes out on the I-40, who required 7 minutes before his arrival to set the energy of the space. He had a wardrobe, 4 categories, multiple subcategories, sorted by color, family, and occasion register, because those are not the same system. And confusing them was a meaningful error. He had a nail-truing protocol involving natural light, the bathroom floor, and a clockwise forehead scratch that I performed 41 times. 41. I kept count. I'm a journalist. I keep count of everything. And somewhere in October, Miranda began referring to Philippe in casual conversation as child number 1. Not as a joke, as a title. Child number 1 needs his evening walk. Don't put your bag there. That's child number 1's spot. Don't forget, child number 1 has grooming Thursday. 300 times between October and Christmas Eve. I counted that too. Owen heard every single one. He never said a word to me about it. Not once. He absorbed it in silence because he was trying to protect me from understanding something he'd already figured out on his own. He's 9. He shouldn't have to protect me, and I have to carry that. At every family dinner, the seating arrangement was Miranda, Philippe's cushion, Madison, then the rest of us wherever we fit. Owen sat at the far end, near the kitchen. Easier for refills, Miranda said once when I looked at it too long. He's 9 years old. He's not the sommelier. Christmas Eve, my parents up from Charlotte, David, 68, a man of 17 words per week placed with surgical precision, and Patricia, his wife of 41 years, who has never raised her voice at a family dinner in her life. Miranda's mother, Carlotta, 3 rings per hand, opinions about everything. 6 of Miranda's friends, 2 of Madison's, a cousin I'd met once. Work colleagues, 20, 2 people. The table extended with 2 additional leaves. The lamb on it, I'd gotten up at 5 a.m. to get the timing right. Candles lit. Philippe at the head of the table on his cushion, in his velvet Christmas suit with gold buttons and a tiny Santa hat he wore with the dignified resignation of a monarch fulfilling a ceremonial obligation. A hand-lettered card in front of him on cream paper. Head of table, Philip Child number 1. Owen at the far end. Near the kitchen. The dinner was fine. Not warm, fine. Wine moving. Miranda friends paying their usual court to Philippe, with the practiced compliance of people who have long since accepted a local governance structure. Then Owen asked for more potatoes. He asked Madison, who was nearest the bowl. She was on her phone. He said her name. She scrolled. Said it again. She didn't look up, so he reached across carefully and served himself. The movement startled Philippe. Philippe made a sound. And Miranda reached into the interior pocket of her blazer and placed a folded sheet of paper in front of Owen. Slid it. In front of 22 people. In front of my parents. In front of the lamb I'd gotten up at 5 a.m. for. You eat here for free, so start earning it. Madison looked at Owen. That's exactly what you deserve. I took the paper from Owen, typed, formatted, 2 fonts. Body text in one, the special section in another, as if it required its own typographic gravity to carry its full weight. At the top, bold, centered, household contribution schedule. Owen, provisional household member. Provisional, she typed that word. Daily tasks. Make bed before 8 a.m., white bathroom counter after use. Set dinner table each evening, full setting for all household members, including Philippe's place. Ceramic bowl, not the backup bowl. Silver spoon, linen placemat. Clear and rinse dishes after meals. Sweep kitchen floor after dinner. Child number 1 daily duties. Refill Philippe's water bowl at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. precisely. Not 8:50, not 3:15. 9 and 3. Philippe's internal schedule is calibrated to the light patterns in this apartment. He knows. Filtered water only. No ice. Wakely tasks. Vacuum living room. Philippe's cushion area requires hand attachment only. Do not bring the full vacuum within 18 inches of his spot in any direction. The vibration causes unnecessary stress. Assist with Philippe's weekly meal prep. Portion his food, warm to exactly 68 degrees Fahrenheit using the kitchen thermometer, third drawer behind the silicone spatulas. Serve in the ceramic bowl. Stir before serving. Monthly tasks. Accompany child number 1 to his grooming appointment with Qley Ann. Ride in the back seat with Philippe to monitor his comfort during the drive. Bring the silver travel bowl, not the blue one. The blue bowl is associated with a veterinary visit of 22,001 and causes anxiety upon visual contact. Wait in the car with Philippe when Matthias speaks with Qley Ann. Learn the post-groom settling routine from Matthias and eventually manage it independently. Then the special section. Different font. Its own header, your responsibilities to your brother. Philippe is not a pet. This is important and non-negotiable. Philippe is child number 1. A full family member with established seniority that predates your arrival and must be respected accordingly. As a newer and younger household member, you have specific responsibilities toward your older brother. 1. Wardrobe assistance. Philippe's wardrobe is organized in labeled storage bins. Warm neutrals left, cool neutrals right. Bright center in Roy G. Biv order. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Left to right. Do not mix linen with cotton even when colors coordinate. The textures are perceptible to Philippe, and mixing disrupts his comfort. Retrieve pieces without unfolding or reshaping them. 2. Nail care. Observation and eventual independence. Observe Matthias's nail trimming sessions until you can perform the task independently. Left paw first. Philippe is left dominant. 1 mm maximum per clip. Half a training treat between each nail. Clockwise forehead scratch with 3 middle fingers upon completion. Counterclockwise causes anxiety. Once Matthias confirms your readiness, this responsibility transfers to you. 3. Grooming support. On grooming days, sit with Philippe in the back seat. Keep him calm, wait with him in the car. Learn the post-groom settling routine from Matthias over the coming months, and manage it independently. 4. Wardrobe rotation. At each seasonal change, help transfer Philippe's wardrobe between bins. Resort carefully after laundering. Warm neutrals left, cool neutrals right. Brights in Roy G. Biv. Do not mix the formal neutrals with the casual brights even if they appear similar. The occasion registers are different, and Philippe reflects the wardrobe. And at the bottom, in italics, Owen. Philippe has been part of this family since long before you arrived. Contributing to his well-being and respecting his seniority is not a burden. It is what belonging to a family means. We're glad to have you here, and this list is how you show you understand that. Miranda. I put the paper down. I want to tell you what went through my head reading that list. Not anger, something much colder and much clearer than anger. His brother. She called Philippe his brother. My son, who manned playlists for girls who didn't want them, who read my case files and gave me notes, who sat at the far end of the table near the kitchen for 14 months without saying a single word about it, was being assigned duties to his brother, who is a dog, who has a wardrobe sorted in Roy G. Biv order, whom is child number 1, who sits at the head of the table on a cushion with a hand-lettered name card while my actual child sits near the kitchen for the refills. Counterclockwise causes anxiety. I had trimmed those nails 41 times. I had driven to that groomer 14 times, 47 minutes each way on the I-40. 7 minutes early so Qley could set the energy of the space. I had sorted the casual brights into correct spectral order. After every longing cycle, I had done all of this and told myself it was love, that this is what it looks like to merge two lives. You carry some of the weight, even the weight that doesn't fully make sense to you. And Miranda had taken all of that, everything I'd quietly absorbed for 14 months, and handed it to my 9-year-old son as his household contribution, as the price of belonging here, as his duties to his brother. Something shifted. Not heat, the opposite of heat. Cold, clear, final. Done. My father, David, looked down the full length of the table at Miranda and said very quietly, "I think we should get the check." We were in someone's home. There was no check. Every person in that room understood exactly what he meant. We left before dessert. Owen held my hand in the parking lot without being asked. He didn't speak until we reached the car, then said, "Dad, can we not go back?" "Yeah, buddy. I think that's right." We went to my parents' hotel. My mom held Owen for a long time without saying anything, which was exactly correct. My dad sat next to me on the edge of the bed. "The paper was pre-folded," he said eventually. "I know. She put it in her pocket before she came to dinner. She planned it." "I know, Dad." Most of it was about the dog. Not contempt, the tone of a man trying to understand the shape of something genuinely unfamiliar. I sat in the hotel bathroom and ran the arithmetic. 14 months, 41 nail sessions, 14 grooming drives, 4 wardrobe rotations, 300 uses of child number 1 Halloween lobster costume that cost more than Owen's winter coat, 1 document, pre-folded, carried in a blazer pocket to Christmas dinner in front of 22 people and my parents. And then the thing that I kept coming back to, the thing I couldn't put down. She had handed my son a list of his duties to his brother, and the brother was a dog, and the dog had better furniture, and the dog had a more prominent name card, and the dog had been living in that apartment for 7 years, and had established seniority, and all of that was written down in 2 fonts on a piece of paper that had been folded in a blazer pocket before the appetizers were served. I took out my phone. I'm a journalist. When something is this clearly documented, you document it back. I emailed Miranda at 2 a.m. No document, no formatted list, no special section with its own font. Just 1 paragraph. Because sometimes 1 paragraph is enough. Miranda, I read the list. All of it. I want to make sure I understood it correctly. Owen is a provisional household member. Philippe is child number 1. Philippe has seniority. Philippe's wardrobe must be sorted by color, family, and occasion register. And those are not the same system. Owen will eventually inherit the nail trimming schedule as part of his duties to his brother, who is Philippe, who is a dog, who is currently outranking my son at the dinner table in both seating placement and formal documentation. I drove to that groomer 14 times, 47 minutes each way. 7 minutes early so Qley could set the energy of the space. I trimmed those nails 41 times on the bathroom floor in natural light, with the left paw first, because he is left dominant. I sorted the casual braids into Roy G. Biv order after every laundering cycle for a year. I did all of that because I thought I was being an assistant. I also understand now what my son has understood for a very long time. That in this household, he was provisional and Philippe was permanent. He was near the kitchen, and Philippe was at the head of the table. He was the newcomer who needed to earn his place, and Philippe was the senior family member whose seniority must be respected. He's 9 years old. He sat with that for 14 months without saying a word to me. That's the part I can't get past. Not the wardrobe system, not the occasion registers, not even the word brother, though I'll be honest, the word brother is going to take some time. It's that he knew, and he didn't tell me, because he was protecting me, and he's 9. I'll be out of the apartment by 8 a.m. I left the nail trimming cloth and the silver travel bowl on the counter. The color wheel is still in the closet. It was there when I arrived, and I assume it will be there when I leave, and I have genuinely made peace with that. Matthias, I drove to the condo at 7 a.m. Miranda was at her mother's Christmas brunch. I knew this because her schedule had lived in my awareness like a second calendar for 14 months. Used my key, collected Owen's things, and a box of mine. left my key on the counter, drove back to the hotel. Miranda got home at 12:43 p.m. Called at 12:45. Didn't pick up. 12:51. Didn't pick up. 5 more calls between 1 p.m. and 1:40. Text at 1:43. Matthias, this is not funny. Text at 1:51. The part about being an assistant, I need you to know that's not what you were. Text at 1:58. You took the good coffee. Text at 2:31 from Madison. Hey, my mom is really upset. But I'm not going to lie. The part about Owen protecting you, and he's 9. I had to put my phone down. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I read that 7 times. She had sat across from my 9-year-old at Christmas dinner and said, "That's exactly what you deserve." And 14 hours later, she was texting me about which line landed. Something is in that kid. Something that could grow, given different conditions. But I can't be the one to provide them. That made me sad in a specific way. At 3 p.m., Miranda's sister Brenda called. "I've heard about the email," she said. "How?" Carlotta read it out loud at the brunch table. Pause. The part about the nail trimming cloth, and the silver travel bowl, and the color wheel being there when you arrived. Matthias. She had to stop reading. It was there when I arrived. I know. Pause. I was there when Miranda installed it. I sent something. She told me I didn't understand the organizational philosophy. Another pause. The assistant thing, that's what got Carlotta. She said, he drove 14 times and he was the assistant. And she had to put the paper down. And then Brenda laughed. Not cruel. The laugh of someone who has been holding something compressed for a very long time and has been handed a release valve. She laughed for a long time. Apologized twice. Said provisional household member. Matthias. He typed provisional and had to put the phone down. By 5 p.m., Carlotta had forwarded the email to Miranda's other sister, who had read it at her own Christmas dinner. By 7 p.m., it had reached at least 8 people with no personal connection to any of this. By 8:30 p.m., someone had screenshotted the list from Owen's paper, not the email, the original laced with its 2 fonts and its special section, and posted it in a Raleigh neighborhood Facebook group. Found this. Is Philippe okay? Is this an elderly care plan? Should the community check in? 81 comments in 45 minutes. The dominant community theory. Philippe was a vulnerable elderly person with complex care needs, and the poster was an overworked caregiver in crisis. 14 people offered to bring meals. 1 offered to contact the county social services line. Then someone figured out Philippe was a Chihuahua. The thread transformed completely. Within 20 minutes, it had become an open forum for everyone in Greater Raleigh who had ever loved someone whose pet outranked them in the household hierarchy. 63 stories shared. A woman named Deborah K. Raleigh Mom posted about a hamster situation that I believe requires its own documentary. I won't tell it here because it isn't mine to tell, but I will say the hamster had an estate planning document. That is not a junk. That was her opening line. The thread ran 5 days. I did not plan any part of the Facebook component. At 9:17 p.m., Florian called. The groomer. 47 minutes on the I-40. 14 drafts, she said. Not a question. In 14 months. Long silence. She always told me you were her assistant. I sat with that sentence for a moment. I always thought it was a bit formal, Florian said. Sending your assistant to a groomer. Never asked. Another pause. Your energy in my waiting room was always the best. Philippe actually settles when you're around. Stays wound up with most people. I've noticed he vibrates at a fairly consistent baseline, I said. She does. But less with you. That counts. One more pause. I'm sorry, you deserved better than assistant. I thanked her and hung up and looked at the hotel ceiling for a while. He settles when I'm around. Even Philippe, it turned out, was fine with me. He just had a more prominent position in the household, which, I was coming to understand, was not his fault either. Miranda called on December 26th. I picked up. We needed the real conversation. She'd processed, you could hear it, the specific calm that arrives after all the crying has cycled through and landed somewhere more honest. I read your email, she said, multiple times. Okay, the part about Owen protecting you. Long pause. Matthias. He's 9. I know he's lying. I didn't think about it that way, that he was sitting with all of it and not telling you, because... She stopped. Because he was watching out for me, I said. Yeah, silence. Here's the thing I keep landing on, I said. That list was pre-folded. You wrote it before dinner. You printed it and folded it and put it in your blazer pocket before you sat down, with 22 people. That's not a reaction to something Owen did. That's a plan. You planned to hand my son a document about his duties to his brother at Christmas dinner. She didn't answer. And the brother is Philippe, I said. Who has the head of the table? Who has the name card? Who has the wardrobe system and the grooming appointment and the established seniority? And my son is provisional. That's the word you used. Provisional. Long silence. When you moved in, she said finally, slowly, there was so much change. Philippe had been there 7 years. He was the one constant. I needed to protect his seniority, I said. She didn't answer. Miranda, that's the whole sentence. You needed to protect his position over my son. The silence after that was different from the others. The silence of someone hearing something true that they've been circling for a long time without ever landing directly on it. I didn't think it would feel that way, she said finally. I know you didn't, I said. And I meant it. I don't think you're cruel. I don't think you planned to hurt him. I think you built a system around Philippe that made complete sense from inside it. And I think the system just quietly put my son at the far end of the table near the kitchen and called it easier for refills. And made her of a signa thing. About it for 14 months. Quiet, I love you, she said. That's real. I know it's real, I said. But Miranda, I need someone who loves my son the way I love him. Not as provisional, not as the one near the kitchen, as the child. As the first priority. That's not a complicated requirement. That's just the minimum. Very long silence. Is he okay? She said finally. Towen? He's making a paper chain with my mom for the hotel window, I said. Because it's the holidays and the room needed decorating. She made a sound that wasn't quite crying. Tell him I'm sorry, she said. I got the list. I will, I said. And I did. My mother. Christmas morning. Owen's still asleep on the pullout. Patricia came and sat by the window and looked at me. September, she said. What? I knew in September. Owen's birthday dinner. Philippe had his own place setting. Owen was at the far end. She shook her head once. I should have said something then. I thought you needed to find it yourself. I was wrong to wait. Matthias. Full name. Severity register. She typed a document assigning your child responsibilities to a dog. Called the dog his brother. Folded it and carried it in her pocket to Christmas dinner, in front of his grandparents. I didn't say anything. You deserve someone who loves your son the way I watch you love him, she said. That's not a high standard. That's just what it looks like when a child actually belongs somewhere. She paused. Also, she said with a very small, precise smile, your father, when I read him the part about the clockwise scratch and 41 sessions, she paused. He had to go stand in the bathroom for a moment. David, 17 words per week. Undone by a Chihuahua's nail care protocol. I knew then we were going to be okay. New Year's Eve, the 4 of us in the hotel room with takeout containers and the paper chain Owen had made strung across the window. Owen looked up from his noodles. Completely unprompted. Dad, do you think Philippe is sad we left? I thought about it honestly. I think he's okay, I said. He's with Miranda. She loves him. He has his routines. Owen nodded. Thought for a moment. I feel bad for him, he said. He didn't ask to be child number 1. He's just a dog. He didn't design the system. 9 years old. That's a generous way to think about it, I said. I mean, he said, completely matter of fact, it's not his fault his nail care schedule was considered a growth opportunity for me. My father made a sound from across the room that I identified, after a moment, as laughter. I hadn't heard it in several days. It was the best sound I'd heard in a long time. I need to tell you about my relationship with Chihuahuas now, because it's ongoing. My therapist has named it, which means it's been officially recognized as something requiring structured attention. I love animals. This is not rhetorical. This is biographical fact, established over decades and confirmed by 12 years of documented grief over a golden retriever. But Something happened in my nervous system. Across 14 months of close proximity service to Philippe, something accumulated. I didn't understand what, until 3 weeks after Christmas, at a coffee shop on a Tuesday morning when someone walked in with a chihuahua in a tote bag. Small, eyes pointing in slightly different directions, the permanent expression of mild cosmic disappointment. The dog looked up at me. In approximately 3 seconds, I experienced a full, simultaneous recall of the list, both thoughts, the special section header, the phrase, your older brother, the phrase, provisional household member, the phrase, he knows, counterclockwise causes anxiety, 9 and 3, left paw first, and Owen's face folding that paper in half and setting it on his lap at Christmas dinner. I put my coffee down, walked outside, stood in the January cold for 4 minutes. My therapist is Dr. Sandra, patient, precise, excellent. She has dedicated 4 full sessions to what she calls, with admirable clinical neutrality, the Chihuahua Association response. We've traced it carefully to its actual source, the specific grief of understanding that you occupied a lower position in someone's emotional hierarchy than you believed, and that the proof of this is a 2-kilo animal who sat at the head of the table while you cooked the lamb and your son sat near the kitchen for the refills. It's not really about Philippe, Dr. Sandra says every session. I know, I say every session. It's about what the hierarchy represented. It represented where Owen stood, I say. Provisional, below the dog, assigned duties to his brother, and he knew it for months before I did, and he didn't tell me because he was 9 years old and he was protecting me. She found an app, gradual exposure, generic small dogs first, then Chihuahua adjacent breeds, then full desensitization in manageable increments. I'm currently at level 3, Pomeranian with a confident posture in a domestic setting. Progress is slow. Progress is progress, where things actually stand. Miranda and I are finished. Not a wound anymore, a fact. The anger ran its course in about 8 days, and came out the other side as something closer to understanding. She built a life in which a small dog occupied the absolute center of all emotional gravity, and everyone else arranged themselves around it. That's not cruelty. That's a particular loneliness that organized itself around the one relationship that was reliably uncomplicated, that couldn't leave, couldn't judge, couldn't send an email at 2 a.m. about being an assistant. I understand it. I don't have to live inside it. Madison texted once in January. I'm sorry I said that to Owen. It wasn't fair. I told her I appreciated it and that I thought she was going to be okay if she kept paying attention the way she clearly already was. Thumbs up emoji. 16 years old. Maybe that's everything you can ask. Owen and I are back in my house. The tenant situation resolved itself when the boiler acted up, and they were relieved to leave, the universe providing a small structural gift. Owen's room is exactly as he left it. He put his posters back in one afternoon without asking for help. That told me everything I needed to know about his recovery timeline. We make pancakes on Sundays. I hope Philippe is good. I mean that without irony and without remainder. He's a sweet small creature who didn't design the system he existed inside. He didn't ask for the title or the head of the table. He just lived in the household he was given, accepted the position he was placed in, and did his small 2-kilo best. He settles when I'm around, apparently. That counts for something. I don't know exactly what, but it counts. The thing I keep coming back to is not the list, or the Christmas dinner, or even child number 1 said 300 times. It's Owen folding that paper in half, setting it on his lap, and looking at me with that face. The face of someone who has been watching the truth arrive from a long way off, and has decided to stop pretending they don't see it. He's 9. He shouldn't have to be patient about this. He shouldn't sit near the kitchen, because a dog needs proximity to the people who love him. He shouldn't receive a formal document about his duties to his brother who is a dog, whose nail care he was expected to eventually inherit on the standard trimming schedule, who outranked him in 2 fonts on a piece of paper that had been folded in a blazer pocket before the appetizers were served. He should be first, not child number 1 on a laminated refrigerator schedule. Just first, in the room, with me, the way it's always been, and the way it's going to stay. That's what 14 months, and 1 Christmas Eve, and 41 nail sessions, and 14 grooming drives, and a Facebook thread with 63 stories, and Chloe Ann calling from the I-40, and Brenda laughing for a full minute, and Dr. Sandra, and a level 3 Pomeranian, all added up to. My son deserves to be the child, not the provisional household member, not the one near the kitchen, just the child, just first.